feel good.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mandrake Radio Show. I am Matt Murdoch, and this, of course, is Lionel Mandrake. We're doing something a little different today. We've been getting a lot of response on Twitter. We try to be kind of interactive with our viewers and listeners, and just to show you that we do pay attention to you guys and your input. We've been getting a lot of feedback lately here saying that Mr. Mandrake here talks too much. So just decided that, we're going to just, to show that we do care about your opinion. What we're going to do is Mandrake here is going to basically not talk as much. So we're going to kind of put that to the test here to see if we can actually get through the show today without him, being his usual bombastic self and using a little restraint. So we're going to put that to the test. So this seems as good a time as any to let you know, full disclosure, I have to confess something here. I've been lying to you for the last several weeks when I said that I had given up being a moderate and that I had come over to the dark side, so to speak, and have now fully embraced conservatism. That was totally a lie. Actually, the truth of the matter is I did vote for Hillary Clinton for president, and I do not think that Donald Trump should be our president. I think that all the protesters are on the right track. I think that we should allow all immigrants in, illegal or not. I think that we should let Sharia law become the law of the land. And, I just think that, everything is going in the wrong direction because we elected this guy president. And I just think that, we're on, and George Soros should absolutely be allowed to do whatever he does to foment the kind of, dissent in this country, because I think we should embrace one world multiculturalism. And, that's pretty much, you okay over there?
Can I speak now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I tell you, audience, welcome to the Lionel Mandrake radio program.
He lasted all of 30 seconds.
Matt Murdoch just revealed himself to be exactly what I always suspected him to be, and that is a person of mixed opinion and of improper loyalties. You've heard it on the show today that Mr. Murdoch is, in fact, a lefty.
Okay.
Lefty.
Okay.
L-E-F-T. Is it apostrophe Y or just
apostrophe?
I-E? I don't know what it is, but if you actually mean that, then you can get the heck out of here.
Okay, full disclosure, that was just an act I was putting on. I just want to see how long you could last with this whole vow of silence thing. 30 seconds.
It was
He lasted 30 seconds.
It was a vow of silence. I was sitting here in the monastery just trying to contemplate everything that you said. Can you imagine that?
It was all a lie, folks, okay?
I don't know about how much of it is a lie, but I do suspect that Mr. Murdoch does have some liberal tendencies, the type of which...
I used to, back when I used to call myself moderate. I'm telling you, that's over.
Well, you say you were a moderate and you're liberal. There's a contradiction there.
Now, see, you are so ready to believe. He doesn't trust me. He's always accused me of, back when I was a moderate, he accused me of being full-bird liberal, and he just, I just exposed you. You still think that.
No, let's be honest here. I don't believe that you are a liberal. I understand the gag
Thank
today,
you, because
but
I'm
you did
not.
have me going.
because liberals have lost their minds. I don't want to be associated with that camp anymore.
When he started speaking right now about all of these things that are, at the antithesis of everything that, I kind of stand for and believe, not kind of, but do stand for and believe. However, unlike you lefty liberals out there, I am sort of like a liberal in the conservative strain of liberalism, meaning the traditional liberal. I believe that you can disagree with me, but I believe that you have the right to share your opinions and to speak your mind. Unlike the modern liberal today, who would have attacked him by the throat right now if it was like reversed.
Yep,
because liberals today are intolerant. Liberalism in the classic sense as it began in the 60s and 70s was more or less, I disagree with you, but I will defend your mind and your opinion to speak your mind. However,
and nobody
today,
says that anymore.
We have a problem where if you have a different opinion that doesn't coincide with the sort of herd mentality, especially in the universities, in the media, and in politics, then you are a...
Shout you down and shut you down.
No, that's an action. I'm talking about a descriptive term.
Racist.
Exactly. See, so I know. All right. So you haven't been body snatched.
You are ultra right wing, conservative, racist, who wants to keep everything back like it was in 1924 or something.
1956. It was a tough year.
56.
56, 57. If you were an astronaut
56, he said.
and you were black, you didn't work. Remember that? It was a parody. What I just sort of paraphrased here was a parody on an old Ken Burns mockumentary. It was a mockumentary, not a documentary, about how the Apollo space missions and the space program was, really spearheaded by the blackstronauts of the 1950s who never got any recognition.
Blackstronauts? I never heard
They
that term
actually
before.
landed on the moon a full 2 years prior to the Apollo 11 landings using a modified 1957 Chevy with a rocket engine. And because of the black...
I have never heard this before.
Because of the black
Where are you getting
blackout,
this stuff?
it's the mockumentary. And because of the black blackout, they never got the recognition. You see, you can't joke.
That's like because you racist white folks never give us credit for anything that we actually created.
In 1956, if you were a blackstronaut, you didn't work. That was a funny... you could actually YouTube that or Google it, and you will see this here gentleman who actually created that particular mockumentary, which I like the idea of a mockumentary. It's sort of what we do here, Mr. Murdoch, satire. We kind of pride ourselves as being sort of satirists.
Yeah, I think we
consider
are.
myself kind of a social, political satirist.
You
satirist.
kind of gotta satirize a lot of this stuff because if you get too serious about it and let it get to your brain too much, you wind up going nuts like him.
You know something? The world today is in a lot of turmoil, and you can talk.
No.
You can talk about it. You can debate it, and in the end, the little people such as Mr. Murdoch, and myself, we really don't matter.
So I'm glad you admitted that because if you was going to call me little and not include yourself in that, we'd have had a big problem.
But did you notice that I actually pointed my dirty finger at you first and
I
saying the
noticed
little
that.
people, and then I realized that I better do some damage control here.
Uh-huh.
Because I wouldn't want you doing a mockumentary about me.
Just because you're taller than me, come on, man, don't rub it in.
Oh, what a day in the neighborhood it is. You know something, Mr. Murdoch? It's good to see you after 2 weeks. We haven't been on the air. I've been in a depression on the couch.
I need to address that. Okay, a lot of you may have noticed that, we started out doing a show every week, and we've kind of modified that now to like every other week. And the reason being, sometimes we kind of get tired of ourselves even sometimes. So, what we're trying to do here by cutting back to a every 2 week schedule is so that you guys don't get burned out on us and that we don't get burned out either. Yeah.
In full disclosure, I would like to say that the views of this co-host, do not represent the views of the host here, Matt Murdoch, and me, Mr. Mandrake. What I have to say to you people out there is, yes, we would like to do a show 2 or 3 times a week. But you know what? I can't stand the barrage of hate mail that I've been getting. I had 80 emails the other day just alone on the last show because I was being called a racist.
He ain't.
And let me tell you something. I actually laid on the couch for 5 days. I had a slight beard. My fingernails started to grow. And I just couldn't get myself motivated because I'm trying to take on all the pain and suffering of the entire world upon myself to let you people know that you're being fooled and bamboozled, not by Donald Trump, but by the Democrats who refuse to let this country move forward because they're ideologues. And it has gotten me into such a state of mind that my health has suffered. So I stayed on the couch. Tell the truth, Mr. Murdoch. When you called me 4 days ago, what was I looking like on the phone?
He was in terrible shape. He was like, I still think it's part of this whole thing, this subconscious thing you got going where you want to become Howard Hughes. I mean, I can see you laying on the couch with your hair down to here, your fingernails all curling up.
Those of you watching the show right now may notice the Bennington battle banner behind me. It says 76 on it. It's a form of an American flag that was flown during a particular battle during the Revolutionary War. And to the right of it, you're right, you will see a little schmuck that I was planning to wear, but because I got so much heat about it, I decided not to wear that schmuck. And it is from, as
Our
you
station
can see,
manager called it a schmuck.
the Hughes Space Communications Antenna Systems Lab. And I was going to wear that in honor of Mr. Howard Hughes simply because
Who he still believes is alive.
well,
Even though the man died 41 years ago.
let me explain to the audience out there. I understand that Howard Hughes died in 1976 in Acapulco, Mexico, and the reason was because he kind of became a recluse. He's an interesting character, but he was the richest.
Recluse, he lost his marbles.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you could call it that way. He became addicted on codeine, which kind of put him into a mindset where he wanted to stay in
That didn't
and
help.
essentially try to avoid what he became because he couldn't get off the couch, like I almost became last week, and he couldn't get his affairs in order. However, despite the fact that I was wearing the Hughes Satellite Space and Communications Division schmuck, to you people out there, if you're interested, please send $4.99 in a self-addressed envelope with a check for $25, and you too can have a Howard Hughes Space Communications schmuck
Soon as he gets them
mailed
made
to you. And send it to the undisclosed location. Those of you who know how to reach us, you can contact the A-Team, and we'll give you the address.
You remember Soupy Sales?
I certainly do. Who the heck remembers Soupy Sales except me and you?
Okay, now for those of you who don't remember Soupy Sales, he was a very popular comedian back in the 50s and 60s, and for a time he had a little television show that was geared toward kids.
The Soupy Sales Show.
And he got in trouble when one time he got on the air and I forgot what kind of little soliloquy that he did that led into this, but he ended up by asking all the little girls and boys who were watching his show if they would each send him $1.
Wow.
And Soupy had a lot of viewers back then, so I don't know how many actually did it.
Mr. Murdoch.
But he got in big hot water for soliciting money from kids that way. I mean, I think about it. If every kid watching his show had actually done that, the man would have been a millionaire in a week.
Mr. Murdoch, what year approximately was this?
So what you just did was pretty much the same thing as what you pulled a Soupy.
No, I didn't, because Soupy didn't mean it. I do. Please send $4.99 and right here to the undisclosed location. Those of you watching the show out there probably don't remember Soupy. Well, maybe so, because judging from the emails I got a lot of old geezers out there hating on me and Murdoch, mostly me, because I talk too much. I'm sorry for talking too much. There's a lot in this little cranial cavity that I'd like to get out there, and there's not enough time to do it. But I wanted to mention about Soupy Sales. My experience basically with Soupy Sales was not his television show, but a comic book a coloring book that my grandmother brought home for me one day that had like a Soupy Sales coloring book, and you had to color it, Mm-hmm. And it's kind of strange to be coloring a TV character who kind of had a TV show. But when did Soupy have his show? Do you have any idea what year this was?
It was sometime like in the early 60s, I think, was when this happened.
Was it before the, Mr. Rogers neighborhood kind of era?
It was well before then, yeah.
A lot of people don't realize it, but Abbott and Costello used to be a very popular comedy duo that began their lock on sort of this type of stand-up shtick film comedy in the late 1930s, early 1940s. And a lot of people don't realize that Bud Abbott and Lou Costello both died pretty much in poverty because they didn't manage their funds and the money that they did receive for the work that they did do in Hollywood during that, I would say, golden age of Hollywood. Although I might say that the age of Abbott and Costello was sort of like the decline of the golden age of kind of the comedic era of Hollywood, simply because of the type of comedy it was. It was kind of like the straight man and the goofball. Mm-hmm. But Bud Abbott, I read a biography of Bud Abbott where he sent a letter out to his fans, or rather in an interview, that's what it was, in a radio interview. He said that he wasn't doing well financially, and that if everybody in New York City, for example, would send him 50 cents, he would possibly be able to get out of his financial bind.
He did a Soupy.
But Lou Costello, the short, heavyset one, that was Lou, was actually a stuntman before he hooked up with Bud Abbott.
You'd never know it by that.
And does anybody out there know how Bud Abbott and Lou Costello met? It was because they met on the set of a Hollywood film where Bud Abbott was doing something and Lou Costello came. They needed somebody to fall off of a little staircase into some hay from 2 stories. And Lou Costello, the short heavyset guy, arrived in Hollywood, and he was more than eager to do it. And there was nobody there on the set that day. He used to linger around the sets where they were doing these movies, and he jumped off and fell and landed on his butt. And Bud Abbott kind of said something to him, and then Lou Costello said something to him, and they sort of realized they had some chemistry. And the right person at the right moment was there to observe this. And then you had the comedy legend of Bud Abbott and Lou Costello. My favorite one was In the Navy.
In the Navy.
No, not that In the Navy. I'm talking about Bud Abbott and Lou Costello joined the Navy. Do you remember that? All right, we're losing the audience.
I was more of a Three Stooges kind of guy anyway.
Oh God, I never got into the Stooges.
Okay, we're going too far into old Hollywood. Let's kind of come back to today and
This
talk
is
about
why
some
Murdoch
stuff.
is here now, because I've been getting complaints about A, rambling, B, talking too much, and C, being a racist. So can you please take over this before I get like tarred and feathered?
Okay, so let's talk about current events, okay, like what's going on in the news. Okay, now, of course, the big hot topic on everybody's mind is how President Trump fired FBI Director James Comey.
Who?
Comey.
Oh, that guy, right.
Now it's kind of weird how all this has been unfolding, because the very same liberal Democrats who were so upset with Comey because following their Queen Hillary's lead in blaming him in part for her losing the election, and were saying, Comey must go, Comey must go. And then Trump gets rid of Comey, and what happens? These same people who were calling for his head, all of a sudden now it's like, why'd you fire him?
Yeah, why you fire Comey? He was my homie, man. Just because we said all those things before about, Nancy Pelosi wanted him gone, and Maxine Wiggy Waters wanted him gone, and everybody else wanted him gone, and who else wanted him gone? I think even Al Sharpton didn't like him too much.
Just about everybody. Just about everybody who was a Hillary Clinton supporter who, like I said, followed Hillary's lead in blaming him in part for losing the election was calling for his head. And
you know something, Mr. Murdoch? The only one not happy about Comey being gone?
Who would that be?
Hillary Clinton. Because there's a new sheriff in town, and she's got lots to answer for, yo. You see, at least Comey was running interference, it seems. I mean, he wasn't going after her. Maybe he caused her to lose the election. Maybe he didn't. But certainly now, if there's a new sheriff in town, there may be a reopening of this investigation where it's very clear that there was a lot of irregularities and illegality based on what she did with her server and her, her foundation.
Okay, now and see what I love about how all this hand wringing and raising unshirted hell from the left now about him being fired now is like now. They think that they now have another smoking gun that's going to lead to this thing that they so crave, the impeachment of President Trump, because he fired Comey because Comey getting too close to the truth about him in Russia.
Close. He's going to cover this thing up, man. Nixon Watergate style, yo.
I mean, geez, and the media is really driving that because
I know.
The media has been wanting another Watergate ever since Watergate. I've always said that was one of the main things that drove the American liberal media to the point where it is now, because of the part they played in bringing forth the end of the Nixon administration. They got drunk on that power. Hey, we can bring down a president. We're that powerful, and they want that again.
Bernstein and Woodward did their job back then. Yes, there was a break-in at the Watergate complex. People, hear Watergate. They hear Bathgate.
Yeah, now Nixon was a crook. He deserved what happened to him. I mean, nobody's arguing that.
They hear Gravegate. Remember when President Clinton had somebody buried at Arlington National Cemetery and the person wasn't even in the military? They actually had to exhume the body and remove it because Arlington is hallowed ground for soldiers, and that was called Gravegate. And then what other kind of gates do we have here?
Look. Every time there's something that even looks like a scandal in Washington,
becomes gate.
It becomes something.
Fill in the blank gate. There is no Russia gate, guys. You guys know it. You're promoting it.
That's a dead giveaway as to how desperate the media is for another gate, because they, like I said, they want that again. They want to be able to bring down another. Every president since Nixon has had a gate.
Mr. Murdoch.
And I'll say one thing. They're being kind of even-handed on it because they've done it with Democrats just like they have with Republicans. The whole thing is.
Now I know you're a setup.
Not seriously. No. They've had. Okay, you just pointed out that there was a gate during the Clinton administration.
Well, yeah, but it was conservative media pushing the fact that a guy that didn't even wear the uniform was buried in Arlington National Cemetery because he gave the Clintons a donation. If you guys don't believe it, look it up, sir. Mr. Murdoch.
Don't believe me? Just watch.
President Nixon ended the Vietnam War. He opened up China to trade. He created the Environmental Protection Agency, which is used as a bludgeon against big business by Obama since day one. He created other major government institutions which are considered to be non-conservative and big government, something that Ronald Reagan would not have approved of. He didn't create an agency as large as the agency that President Bush created, which is the Department of Homeland Security, which now gave us the TSA and all the other associated departments which are connected under one umbrella organization. But he did a good job of it. President Nixon wasn't the bad guy. Remember, he did not order the break-in at the Watergate complex to find out what the opposition was doing for the re-election of the president.
But it was done on his behalf.
It was his cover-up.
It was done on his behalf, and he didn't do anything to stop it. And when the news broke, he covered it up. Exactly.
I don't think that there's any evidence. I don't want to rehash 1972 Watergate, but I don't think that President Nixon ordered the burglary or the break-in. I think it was done by his subordinates called the plumbers.
Yeah.
They were the plumbers, and this was, what's his name? He had a talk show, in fact.
G. Gordon Liddy.
G. Gordon Liddy and his cronies. They broke into the Watergate
H.R.
election.
Haldeman and all that.
And Haldeman office at the Watergate complex.
See, I'm showing my age. I remember stuff like that.
But the fact that Mr. Murdoch knows these things is pretty impressive because most people today, have forgotten about it or have never really paid much attention. However, President Nixon didn't order it. His subordinates did it because they felt that they could help. It was
all the idea of getting Nixon reelected.
This whole group called themselves CREEP, the Committee to Re-elect the President. CREEP. That's what the Haldeman and what's his name?
H.R. Haldeman and let's see, what was his face? The other one, they got it.
Liddy.
G. Gordon Liddy, and there was another one. There was a third one.
So President Nixon actually tried to cover it up because he was loyal to his subordinates. He didn't want to throw them under the bus. He didn't think it would be a big deal anyway, since
and
it was
he wanted to be reelected. Yeah.
But it was. Listen. As a man who kind of prides himself on having some principles, which I really don't, but I like to have the ideal of principles and morality and decency and standards.
His heart's in the right place.
My heart's in the right place. I think that if a president commits these type of crimes in the form of a cover-up, who can blame these two freaks at the Washington Post for revealing it, Bernstein and Woodward, because they did their job. They were good reporters who reported what happened, and Nixon was a sort of sentimentalist, a loyal guy who stood by his people. It was a confluence of forces together which resulted in the collapse of a president and the rise of a media today that can't even hold the same standards that Bernstein and Woodward had, because Bernstein and Woodward actually sought the truth. They didn't go out there looking to destroy a president, unlike you you people out there today in the media who are going out there to intentionally destroy President Trump's presidency 4 months on because you hate him. That's not what the Watergate process was all about. It was about revealing something that really happened.
See, that's the difference. See, the difference between the media today and the media of back then was that, like you just pointed out, there was no personal ego-satisfying agenda behind what happened back then.
But these people had standards. They had who, the what, the when, the where, the why. They were real reporters, not journalists. You know what a journalist is? Me and you in the car today talking, well, I came from here, and we sat here, and we got to do this. We're journalizing. A reporter reports who, what, when, where, why, dates, places, names, facts. We keep our opinions out as much as humanly possible. We all are human, some of us.
And see, that's the big problem.
That's a reporter and a journalista.
That's the big problem with today's media. They can't keep their personal feelings and their personal politics out of it. They got to be loyal to an ideology, and it's like, okay, fact-based reporting, just the facts, ma'am, as they used to say on the old show, Dragnet. Just the facts, ma'am, that's out the window. It's like, okay,
that was racist, too, because suppose it was a guy you're talking to. They never said just the facts, sir. It was always ma'am.
That's not racist, that's sexist. See,
damn right. There's some sexism going on in the woodwork somewhere.
See, you fall into the racist trap now.
There's some racism. There's got to be racism in Dragnet if you look deep enough.
Everything is, well, there weren't many black people.
Weren't they the ones getting arrested in Dragnet?
Only people I remember seeing on Dragnet was white people.
Well, it was in black and white. Maybe they were light-skinned blacks. And you couldn't notice.
Jeez.
All right, send the email, the hate mail. Okay, I know.
Okay.
I know. You can't joke about nothing anymore. Can't have a fun
Nah,
time.
yeah, all the humor is gone. Yeah, it's exactly right. But yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, just the agenda now. See, back then, the media didn't have an agenda.
Oh, they did.
Well, they did, but they weren't as blatant about it as they are now.
They were more sneaky,
Yeah.
but now they're out in the open because they feel the blood in the water like sharks. They realize that now they have
mean-
the power of the educational system, academia, mass media, the news outlets, and all we have is talk radio. Undisclosed location broadcast going out of a satellite feed from an underground bunker, that's us, and maybe some publications. But they control the popular culture. They smell blood in the water. They never expected Donald Trump to be elected president, and now they're striking for the kill because they can't accept the fact Trump is president. And they don't have to hide anything anymore. They could come out with their pantyhose and their dongs and their tongue rings, tattoos, and lip rings because that's who they really are. They hate popular American culture as it once existed because it's against the whole, the whole anything goes. If it feels good, do it. There's no standards.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the thing about the media back in the day.
How day is the day you're talking about?
I mean, it's like, at least they tried to put forth some kind of semblance of not being
You're talking
biased.
Edward R. Murrow, or maybe you're talking.
Well,
like,
yeah, I
the
probably am.
days of,
I probably am going
Walter
back.
Cronkite turned out to be a big lefty liberal. I mean, he's one of the reasons the Vietnam War was lost.
Yeah, but you didn't really know it on the air,
Right, because they hid it. They kind of kept a little bit their opinions, but they kind of threw them in there. And if you were stupid, you know what it was, Mr. Murdoch?
Tell me.
In the 1960s, it was such a cultural transition from a society that seemed to be stable and grounded in some kind of, American civilization where right
Western
was right and
civilization.
Western civilization and wrong was wrong, and there seemed to be a demarcation line between the popular culture and the fringe or the counterculture.
Yeah.
In the old days, you wanted to go see something interesting. You went to the East Village in Manhattan in the 70s, and that's where the counterculture sort of originated, Washington Square Park. But yet the main culture was sort of represented by, you had to have certain standards of rationality, logic, reasoning abilities, excuse me, proper decorum. Do you know the University of Cincinnati sent me so much? I don't even think I should talk about this. I didn't talk to you about it because it put me
I
on
was
the
about
couch.
to say, yeah, enlighten me. This is the first time hearing of this.
I don't know.
Come on,
I believe in
share it with the class. Come on.
I believe in decorum, so I believe that there has to be certain presentation because you judge a person by how they dress, how they speak, how they present themselves. So when you have people graduating at an event, which is a graduation ceremony, and they're coming up on stage and they're wearing different costumes and outfits and signs and everything else, and they're dancing and they're behaving in a very unacademic way, is it wrong for me to say, my God, what is the value of the diploma and the degree earned over 4 years to these undergraduates in a bachelor situation, undergraduate situation, if when they come up on stage they're lacking classically the classic notions of decorum, presentability, and standards of behavior.
You wanna know
because you
what it is?
represent the school. So you come up there, you're dancing, you're hooting, you're hollering. To me, that makes the school look bad, like they didn't teach you anything.
You wanna know what it
I got
is?
attacked for this very badly.
You want to know what it is? What the result of that's going to be? They're going to be the same one that's going to be whining 8 years from now when they got this degree and all they can get is a job at McDonald's.
Let me tell you something about the McDonald's.
Nothing against McDonald's, by the way.
Mr. Murdoch, I wanted to say that, and also to our viewers out there. I go to McDonald's sometimes, and I see these hardworking people. Most of them are immigrants or people in a lower economic strata trying to boost themselves up. You work 8 hours on your feet dealing with people like Murdoch or myself coming in there, demanding that Big Mac better have some cheese on it. And you realize
My
that these people
sausage
are very...
McMuffin, I want toasted bread.
That's right. You know what? These fast food workers, they work very hard. They work very hard. They deserve respect, but they know themselves that this is not their career choice. Most of them know,
especially if they went to
that
college
this is a stepping
and got a
stone,
degree.
a
Right.
stepping stone to do better in their lives. And I respect them very much because they work under difficult circumstances, dealing with all kinds
doubt,
of people. Yes. And McDonald's the McDonald's Corporation benefits for it. So do we. Can you imagine a world without McDonald's? How many people would probably be starving in the streets of Manhattan, dropping like flies, or going to the halal cart and getting some kind of like nasty meat that you don't even know what it is? You know something?
All right. Hey, that was racist. Don't be saying
Oh,
that.
no, that was sexist.
Okay. No. Like I said, nothing against McDonald's. I eat there almost every other day on my other job, the one that I actually get paid. And he hates it when I do that. So, I didn't mean any slight against McDonald's. I could have easily said Burger King
No,
or
I think it was
Wendy's
against
or
the
anything
McDonald's
else.
Corporation. But let me tell you about Burger King. Would you rather be a king or a clown? That's why I go to Burger King. I'm not playing with the clown. All right, that was a bad joke. I was watching a show the
I think
other
we
day.
need to move on.
No, I'm tired of you sometimes. You're trying to set me up calling me sexist when I'm and racist.
I didn't call you
Yeah,
sexist.
you just did.
You called yourself sexist. and what is there sexist about Ronald McDonald? He's last I looked, he was male.
Does anybody remember who was the original Ronald McDonald?
I have no idea.
It was
sir.
that weatherman guy. Remember the weatherman? He was a meteorologist who